The room froze before the words even finished leaving Denzel's mouth. Cameras stopped panning. Staffers stopped breathing. And for a full 2 seconds, long enough to shake the political universe, Washington, D.C. went silent. Denzel Washington leaned forward, voice steady but sharp enough to cut through the marble acoustics. "Mr. Trump, your behavior aligns with textbook fascism." You could feel the shock ripple outward like a blast wave. A senator's pen slipped from his hand. A reporter muttered, "Oh my God," under her breath. Someone in the back whispered, "Did he really just say that?" He did. This wasn't a movie scene. This was live, unfiltered, and headed straight into the bloodstream of America. Trump's expression hardened instantly. Not anger, calculation. He shifted in his chair, jaw tightening, eyes narrowing just an inch. Enough to signal that whatever came next wouldn't be measured. Behind Denzel, an aide whispered, "You just started a fire." He didn't blink. That was the point. The lights felt hotter. Every lens zoomed in. The tension became a living thing between them, two worlds colliding in real time. Trump leaned toward the mic, slow, deliberate, like a man preparing to strike back with precision rather than volume. And that was the moment millions leaned closer to their screens. Because everyone knew. When Denzel speaks truth to power, there's impact. But when Trump feels cornered, he doesn't retreat. He detonates. What came next wouldn't just trend. It would fracture the entire political conversation. And Denzel? He was ready. Trump didn't raise his voice at first. That was the part that scared people. He leaned into the mic with a slow, predatory calm, the kind he used when he wanted the room to feel cornered. "Well, Denzel," he said, forcing a smile that didn't touch his eyes. "I've worked with actors my whole life. You all love drama. But calling me a fascist? That's the biggest performance I've seen yet." A low murmur rolled through the chamber. Reporters didn't dare look away. Some even stood to see better. The tension twisted into a knot so tight the air itself felt fragile. Denzel didn't move. Didn't flinch. Only stared straight ahead, completely composed, as if he had trained for this exact moment. Trump wasn't finished. "You want to lecture me on democracy?" he continued, voice rising like a storm front. "A Hollywood millionaire pretending to be the soul of America?" He jabbed a finger across the table. "You don't speak for the working class. You don't speak for patriots. You speak for cliques." A gasp burst from the back row. Someone whispered, "He's going too far." Still, Denzel sat calm as stone. Trump leaned back, but the smirk stayed sharp. "You call me a fascist? Fine. But you're a fraud. A performer. A man who confuses applause with truth." The words hit like thrown knives. Yet Denzel didn't react, because he didn't need to. His silence wasn't weakness. It was pressure. A senator shifted uncomfortably. A staffer covered her mouth. The camera zoomed in on Trump's face, capturing every ounce of anger, insecurity, and adrenaline boiling beneath the surface. For a split second, Trump realized he was losing the room. And that terrified him more than the accusation itself. Denzel finally lifted his eyes. Just one calm look. The kind that says, "You haven't won anything. You just revealed everything." Trump's words were still hanging in the air when Denzel finally moved, slow, steady, intentional. He leaned toward his mic, not to match Trump's volume, but to overpower him with calm. "Mr. Trump," he said quietly, "a man doesn't become a fascist because I say it. He becomes one by the choices he makes." The room tightened. Staffers froze. Even Trump stopped shifting in his chair. Denzel continued, voice low but unmistakably firm. "And when you attack the press, undermine elections, threaten critics, and demand loyalty over law, the definition speaks for itself. A ripple of shock rolled through the chamber. Trump tried to interrupt. Denzel didn't let him. "You call me a performer," he said, "but I'm not acting right now. I'm describing patterns the whole world sees." A reporter whispered, "He just flipped the whole thing." Denzel sat back, letting silence do the rest. Trump opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time, he looked unsure, searching for a comeback that didn't exist. A senator leaned to another and muttered, "He's losing the room." Denzel didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply said, "When the truth is uncomfortable, powerful men call it theater." The line hit like a hammer. Cameras zoomed in. Analysts whispered into earpieces. Social media exploded. And in that moment, everyone watching realized. This wasn't Denzel versus Trump anymore. It was truth versus narrative. And truth had just landed the cleanest hit of the night. For a moment, Trump tried to stay composed. His jaw locked, his fingers tapping the table in a frantic rhythm. But the pressure in the room shifted. Denzel had taken control, and Trump felt it like a bruise he couldn't hide. Then it happened. Trump snapped forward, voice cracking with anger. "You think you can lecture me on democracy? You? An actor reading lines written by coastal elites?" A wave of shock swept across the chamber. This wasn't strategic. This wasn't controlled. It was raw, unfiltered rage. Denzel didn't move. His stillness only made Trump angrier. "You want to call me a fascist?" Trump thundered. "Fine. But you don't know a damn thing about real Americans, people who work, people who sacrifice, people who aren't pampered by Hollywood." Reporters' thumbs flew across phones. Cameras locked onto Trump's face, catching every vein, every tremble, every ounce of fury. A senator whispered, "He's spiraling." Trump slammed his palm on the desk. "You don't get to attack me without consequences." The room went dead silent. Even Denzel finally blinked, slowly, once, like a man deciding whether to step into the fire or let the fire expose itself. He chose exposure. "Mr. Trump," he said softly, "what you just showed this country is exactly why I spoke up." Trump froze. Denzel leaned forward, voice calm as steady flame. "When power feels threatened by truth, it lashes out. Thank you for proving my point." The blow wasn't loud. But it was fatal. Trump tried to speak, but the words tangled in his throat. The cameras caught it, the hesitation, the desperation, the unraveling. And in millions of living rooms, people whispered the same thing. Trump just lost. As Trump struggled to recover, something unexpected happened. A notification buzzed across the press row, one phone, then another, then all of them at once. Reporters exchanged sharp glances as screens lit up with the same breaking alert. A leak. A massive one. Dropped in real time. A journalist rose halfway from her seat, eyes wide. "Oh my God, is this real?" Denzel noticed the shift. Trump noticed it too, late. Within seconds, the chamber filled with whispers like sparks catching dry brush. A leaked audio file. Time-stamped. Verified. Connected directly to Trump's inner circle. One line from the recording was spreading online like wildfire. If Denzel calls him a fascist, good. He'll overreact. He always does. And we'll spin it. The room froze. Trump's head jerked toward his staff, eyes full of panic disguised as fury. "Is this some kind of joke?" he barked. But the reporters weren't listening to him anymore. They were listening to the recording. Denzel leaned back, hands folded, calm as a man who'd already seen the storm coming. Trump stood abruptly. "Turn that off. It's fake, it's all fake." But the audience didn't buy it. Even senators were staring at their phones, pale, unsettled. One murmured, "This is coordinated, this is sabotage." The truth was spreading faster than Trump could shout. And for the first time, Denzel spoke with a quiet, devastating clarity. "Mr. Trump," he said, "when the people closest to you expect you to act like a fascist, maybe the problem isn't me." The chamber erupted, not in noise, but in the kind of silence that means everything has changed. This wasn't just a clash anymore. It was exposure. And the unraveling had officially begun. The chamber was already shaking from the leaked recording, but Denzel wasn't finished. He reached into the folder in front of him, pulled out a single page, and placed it calmly on the desk. The microphones picked up the soft tap like a gunshot. "I wasn't planning to show this today," he said, voice even, steady. "But since the truth is already leaking out." Every head turned. Even Trump stopped pacing. Denzel slid the document forward. A printed email. Official White House header. Subject line: "Control the narrative, discredit Washington fast." A hush fell so heavy it felt like gravity doubled. A reporter whispered, barely audible, "He brought receipts." Trump's eyes widened. He recognized the formatting before he even read the words. Denzel continued, "This email was forwarded to me anonymously last night. I verified the metadata. It came from inside your communications team." Trump slammed a fist on the table. Lies. Fabrications. But the senators weren't looking at him anymore. They were looking at the email. Denzel read it aloud, every syllable landing like a hammer. "If Washington escalates, push him into anger. Do not let him appear calm. Make him snap first." Gasps rippled across the room. A staffer covered her mouth. Another shook his head in disbelief. Denzel locked eyes with Trump. "You wanted me emotional," he said softly. "You needed me angry. Because calm men are harder to destroy." Trump stepped forward. Too fast, too aggressive. Security stiffened. Cameras zoomed in. Denzel didn't move. He simply added, "You tried to bait me. And you failed. Because truth doesn't need rage to win." Trump froze mid-step, caught between fury and helplessness. The entire room felt it. The power had shifted. Completely. Irreversibly. This wasn't Denzel defending himself anymore. This was him unmasking the machine built to tear him down. And the machine had just malfunctioned, on live television. The chamber had turned into something unrecognizable, tense, electric, almost haunted. Trump kept glancing at the senators, searching for even one friendly face, but every pair of eyes seemed fixed on the same truth: the situation was slipping out of his hands. Cameras zoomed in with clinical precision, capturing the panic spreading across his expression like a crack in glass. Denzel stayed perfectly still. That silence, the steady breath, the calm posture, it all worked against Trump. The more controlled Denzel became, the more unhinged Trump looked. A staffer whispered, "He can't regain the room, it's over." Another nodded, face pale. Trump tried to speak, but the words tangled. "This is all coordinated," he shouted. "It's a setup." His voice trembled, not with anger, but fear. Not one reporter reacted. Instead, they typed faster, eyes glued to their screens as alerts buzzed across phones. Denzel finally leaned toward the mic. "When a leader fears the truth," he said softly, "he attacks the messenger. But attacking me won't save you now." The line sliced through the chamber like cold wind. Trump froze, shoulders stiff. His attempt to regain confidence faltered the instant he looked at Denzel, calm, steady, unbreakable. A senator exhaled sharply. Another whispered, "He's finished. And he knows it." Denzel lowered his gaze for a moment, almost in pity. You wanted chaos, he said. You expected me to break. But the only thing breaking today is the illusion that you're in control. Trump stepped back, the realization landing with visible weight. And the room watched a man understand, too late, that the narrative no longer belonged to him. The room felt heavier with every passing second, as if the air itself understood what was coming. Denzel opened a slim red folder, the kind used only when the truth needed to land with precision. Reporters leaned forward. Even security shifted, sensing the moment. Trump stared at the folder like it was a countdown. Denzel placed a small USB drive on the table. The sound was soft, but the meaning thundered through the chamber. This, he said calmly, contains internal briefings from your own advisors. Briefings confirming that your reaction today was expected, predicted, and encouraged. Trump's face tightened. That's fake, manufactured garbage. Denzel didn't blink. Then you won't mind if the committee verifies it publicly. Gasps rippled across the room. A senator whispered, he trapped him. Clean. Another nodded, stunned. Denzel continued, voice steady. These files outline a strategy to provoke chaos, overwhelm the media, and discredit any critic by labeling them unstable. They even include a section titled, How to Trigger Washington. A wave of shock spread so fast it was almost visible. Trump pointed a shaking finger. You stole those. That's illegal. Denzel shook his head once. They were sent to me by someone inside your circle. Someone who finally decided the truth mattered more than loyalty. Reporters erupted into frantic typing. For the first time, Trump's bravado cracked. His eyes darted around the room, searching for the traitor he couldn't identify. His voice trembled. Who sent that? Denzel leaned in slightly, delivering the final blow. A person who saw what you were becoming, he said, and chose their country over your ego. The chamber fell silent, heavy, final, irreversible. Trump had no comeback. And everyone watching knew it. The chamber was silent, but it wasn't calm. It was the kind of silence that comes when the ground shifts under everyone's feet. Trump stood frozen, his eyes scanning the room as if he could spot the betrayal hiding between the chairs. Reporters could feel it too, the moment when power begins to leak out of a man like air leaving a punctured tire. Then a new notification chimed across the press row. One phone, then 5, then all of them. A journalist gasped and held up her screen. It's a statement, she whispered. From inside the West Wing. Denzel waited, completely still, as the reporters began to read aloud. A senior advisor from Trump's inner circle had just resigned, publicly. And the statement was brutal. I can no longer support a strategy built on provocation, deception, and character destruction, it read. Today's events prove what many of us have feared: the president's instincts are dangerous, unpredictable, and harmful to the nation. The room erupted in whispers, shock spreading like fire through dry grass. Trump stumbled forward. That's a lie. I know who wrote this, I'll deal with them. His voice cracked, exposing something raw beneath the anger. Fear. A senator shook his head. He's unraveling. Denzel finally spoke. This is what happens, he said quietly, when the truth becomes too heavy for even your own people to carry. Trump turned toward him, but the fire was gone. What replaced it was panic, a man who suddenly realized he was alone in a room full of cameras. Denzel leaned slightly toward the mic. Your inner circle isn't protecting you anymore, he said. They're protecting America from you. The words landed like a closing door. Trump swallowed hard. And for the first time all day, he looked genuinely afraid of what would come next. The chamber felt like the eye of a storm, quiet, but charged with the sense that something irreversible was seconds away. Trump stood rigid, gripping the edge of the table as if the furniture could steady a collapsing world. Senators avoided his eyes. Staffers stared at the floor. Reporters pointed cameras not at a president in control, but at a man cornered by his own creation. Denzel closed the red folder, the soft click echoing louder than any shout that afternoon. He rose slowly, deliberate, radiating a calm authority that made the entire room lean in. Trump watched him with a mixture of anger and dread. Denzel spoke with precise, measured clarity. "Power isn't lost in a single moment," he said. "It's lost piece by piece, when truth is ignored, when fear becomes strategy, when loyalty is demanded instead of earned." The words settled like dust over stone. Trump tried to interrupt, but nothing came out. His voice had finally abandoned him. Denzel stepped back from the microphone. "Today wasn't about me calling you a fascist," he continued. "It was about you proving you can't handle disagreement without turning it into destruction." A senator whispered, "He's done." Denzel's final line was soft, nearly gentle, yet lethal. "You didn't lose control today," he said. "You revealed you never had it." The chamber froze. Trump lowered his gaze, shoulders slumping under a weight he could no longer deny. Cameras captured it all, the unraveling, the silence, the moment the performance ended. Denzel turned and walked out, not triumphant, not boastful, but resolute. The room watched him leave like they were witnessing the closing chapter of a story that could never return to page one. And when the doors shut behind him, the silence that followed was absolute. If this story shook you even half as much as it shook the political world, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dive narratives just like this one. And remember, truth doesn't whisper, it echoes. I'll see you in the next story.